Today I am answering questions about the palm trees, about the tropicals, about the koi fish. So stay tuned. That's what today's episode's all about. Hi everybody, it's Tim. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be kind of a fun day because I'm basically going through some of your emails, your text on Instagram, questions that I've kind of answered to you, maybe one-offs, but some of them I haven't answered, and I'm just going to try to tick through some of them. What I found is there's no way I'm going to answer all the questions on this one, so maybe this will be part one of several. But I thought I would go through, read off your questions, answer them, kind of show you what the answer is in my garden, so it's not just me talking the whole time. But I thought it would be fun for you, it's fun for me, and then you might even have more questions on that. So please, as always, I say, please make comments. It's so important because it's fun. I learned from you guys. If you look at last week's video, a lot of people posted on their opinion of things and some good ideas on winter storage and structures and things like that. I learned a lot. There's a couple of methods I want to try based on what several people did. And I got some really good advice. So if you go through those, you will get good advice too. But I also just encourage you, it's our community. Let's all interact. So it would be great. Anyway, I'm going to try to answer questions. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about me, about my house, things like that. And if you like this, I'll do another one in the future. So let's get started. Okay, let's start with the first question. And this is a question I actually get a lot. What am I going to do when the palm trees get too tall and I can't cover them? I know. This is what any of us who are zone pushing and have to cover our palm trees have to think about. I have 3 really tall trachycarpus out by the pool. You can see the 2 behind me right here. They are over 10 feet tall. Right now, as you saw, if you watched my previous video or the one before that, one of them is actually too tall for the structure and I have to add on to it. I'm still good on that for a while. I think the trachycarpus are going to stay okay for quite a number of years. I can still cover them. It's a PVC thing I do. It's fairly easy. I think I can pull that off. Let's fingers crossed. What I worry about are the Washingtonias. And that's something that, yes, any of us who are growing in a zone where they really can't be grown and we have Washingtonias, that's something we need to think about. So as you can see here, here's my Phoenix sylvestris. Not worried about that right now. I've got many, many, many years, maybe the rest of my life before it gets too big. But back here, my big, gigantic Washingtonia. I know there is only so long I can keep that going. And here, we'll just kind of rise up here and show you how tall this thing is. Now, it won't look as tall because everything's held up. All the leaves are, fronds are tied up. But yeah, there's only a limited amount of time that I can have these trees going, the Washingtonias. So that's why I keep having smaller ones and I keep putting them around, because I know eventually it's going to be a very sad day when I cannot cover this anymore. And maybe if I had a really flat yard and I could rent equipment and bring it in, but I'm on a hill, that's not going to work. So I know one day they are not going to make it. But that's why you have to plot out what you want to do. I made a choice to have Washingtonias because this one I've had for probably 3 or 4 years. So I'm getting lots of enjoyment out of it. And if I get 2, 3, 4 more years out of it, I will be really happy, but it is growing really, really fast. So we will see. What is your favorite plant that's not a palm tree in your garden? And that is a hard one for me because everyone knows I love palm trees so much. So I would normally say my bougainvillea, but if you watched my last video, I don't even know if it survived. I've got some baby ones up here, but So that's a contender. I would say my olive trees that I've had forever, I'm gonna show those. I'm gonna put a tie between my olive trees that I've owned over 15 years, and now I finally have them in my garden as of 2 years ago, and my Mediterranean cypress that is still in a pot, and I will show that as well. I think those are my favorite right at the moment, and I'll probably, after I film this, think, oh yeah, that's not right, there's something else, because I love so many plants. So here's my Mediterranean Italian cypress, as you would call it. I really want to put this in the ground. I just know I'm in zone 6B. This is going to be a hard one, and I will have to cover it, and then I don't know how fast it will grow if I put it in the ground, but eventually it's going to go in, but maybe not this year. So this is one of them. Here's the larger of my olive trees. They've been in the ground. This is their second winter they've gotten through. Here is the smaller one. Still have the Christmas lights on it. And so those are my favorites at the moment. Favorite palm tree. Oh, that's hard, because just like people with kids, I love all my palm trees for different reasons. So at the top of my list, it definitely has to be my Chilean wine palm hybrid. It's just really spectacular. But I'm going to also say my canary date palm, because I've had it the longest. I bought it over 15 years ago. It's lived in a pot forever, and it's doing great, and I have to move it this year, and that's going to be really stressful on me. Not because it's so hard to move, but I just worry about it because I've had it so long, and it's doing so well right now, but it's just in a really bad place. So I am moving it. So those are my two top palms, but that's really hard for me to say because I really love all of them so much. It is such a dreary day out here, but it is warm, so I'm not going to complain. Here is my Chilean wine palm hybrid. I'm probably gonna open this up this week because it's basically open anyway and it can handle the cold. But it's just beautiful, and if I open it up, I will add the video on here before I publish it so you can see it without the structure. And here's my Canary Island date palm. I'm going to move it. I'm still not quite sure where, but I do love this palm. I'm just a little worried about moving it, about digging it up, but I just have to figure out a really good location and think about the future where I can easily cover it, even if it gets gigantic, like Dimmy's in Belgium, which I love so much. Where do you put all this stuff that you use to cover up the palm trees? Well, right now you can see all the mess back here because it all has to go in the garage. The problem is the garage is filled with tropical plants right now. So in the spring, I have a gigantic mess out here because I basically put everything underneath the deck and some of the stuff out here, and it's just a big mess. And when friends come over, I'm just like, I'm sorry, it looks so bad here right now. I promise you by May, it's gonna look really, really nice. So it's just a big, big mess until then. So that's something you have to think about, is storage. If you're gonna cover up palm trees and cover up tropicals, when you start taking the stuff off, you have to have someplace to put it. And I do have storage way out by my shed for some of my stuff, but some of it I don't wanna get. That's the PVC stuff, can't even say that, PVC stuff out there, but the wood stuff I don't really want to be wet all winter long or summer long, so I put it in the garage. Why do you bring your koi inside during the winter when koi are perfectly fine living outside if you've got a deep enough pond? Well, I have a deep enough pond, but let's go inside and look at the koi. I am crazy about my koi. And the very first year that I had my koi, I had them outside. Although I grew them from babies and they lived in a fish tank for a couple of years. But I had them outside. It froze over. I had one of those heating things so that they could breathe. Everyone made it through just fine, but I hated being inside thinking about my koi freezing to death. And also, when that happens, sorry about the lights, you don't see the koi all winter long. They go into the caves and they hide the entire winter. And I just wanted to see them. So now that they're inside during the winter and they're about to go outside in the next week or two, I get to see them. I get to feed them. I get to interact with them. It's just so much better than having them out there and gone all winter. And you might say, oh, well, that's great. Then you don't have to mess with them. They're carefree. But I didn't like that. That was not for me. I like having my fish, and it's really fun to have them inside, and I get to interact with them every day. And while I'm here, let's talk about a couple of things. I use these old gates on top of there so that they don't jump out. They never have, but I'm not going to try it. So I'm happy about that. Lights back on. And the other thing is, when you add water to these things, it's a pretty big tank. You need to put a timer on your phone. And I do this religiously to warn myself to come back and turn the water off. Well, this past weekend, I turned the water on. And I meant to turn on the phone, and I went outside and did a bunch of things, and then went upstairs and was hanging out, and then I brought my car into the garage to charge, and it was overflowing. So my worst fear actually happened. It wasn't too bad, but definitely if you have one of these indoor holding tanks and you start filling it up with water, make sure you put a timer on your phone, and hopefully, I've always feared that, and it finally happened, and it wasn't too bad, but had it gone all night long, it could have been really bad, and that would have been a gigantic mess. So just think about that. And here's the koi. The water's a little murky just because I was moving this papyrus around in there, which helps keep the water clean, but with the dirt and everything, it's messed it up a little bit. But you can see all the koi swimming around, having fun inside, but they've made a mess here because the water is too high because it got overfilled because of me. And back there you can see all the pumps and the filters that I have going into the water here to keep them happy. One of the funniest questions I got in email from one of my followers on YouTube was, I detect an accent. Where are you from? And I thought that was funny just because I always think I'm covering up my accent really well, but apparently something slipped through or someone's just really savvy. But yes, I do have an accent. I'm from the South. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is why deep within me is a Southerner. And it will come out. And, every once in a while I will say y'all or ten. Instead of saying 10, I will say tin. It's really embedded in me deep down. And it usually doesn't come out unless I've had a couple of drinks or if I'm with other Southerners, then it really comes out. But I went to grad school in theater and I was an actor for many years. And I always think I'm covering it up very well, but apparently not. But maybe that's why I love palm trees so much, because I'm from the South and I love warm weather. Although I will say, growing up in Atlanta, there were no palm trees when I was growing up because I would have had them. I thought you couldn't grow palm trees in Atlanta. Nobody had palm trees in Atlanta in the 70s and 80s. And now if you go to Atlanta, you drive around in the suburbs and there are palm trees everywhere. There are trachycarpus, there are sagos, there are sables, there's pindo palms. I'm shocked. Even in my parents' neighborhood, there are palm trees on their street, which is just amazing to me. And nobody seems to cover them up in the wintertime. They all seem to survive. I haven't really seen Washingtonias, but I think they are there. But I like going to visit just so I can see all the palm trees in Atlanta because it just astounds me. They're in shopping centers. Like I was we were over in Peachtree Corners or something and driving back to where I grew up in Gwinnett County, and they're in a shopping center. I'm just like, this is just so unfair that they did not exist when I was growing up, because I would have loved it. So I got this question a couple times from several different people, and it was like, how did you find your house, especially with this great view out there? And it's kind of a funny story, because many years ago, about 15 years ago, I was looking online and I saw this house that had a caboose on it with a great view. And I showed one of my friends and they said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I kind of forgot about that house. And then 5 years later, I was looking for a house, and I actually ended up on the street that I live on here. And I was looking at a house up the street, and I suddenly saw that this house was for sale still after 5 years. And I told my realtor I wanted to look at it. And she looked at the pictures and she's like, oh, it doesn't look good at all. I'm not sure you want to see that house. And I said, no, I would really like to see it. And when I pulled in the driveway, I immediately said, I'm going to buy this house because it looks so special. Now, the reason she said it doesn't look good is because the online pictures, which I'm going to try to post on here, I'll see if I can do this right after this, were not very good. Like, it just made the house look not very attractive. The landscaping did not look good. There was really no garden at all. And it just didn't look really nice. So it sat on the market forever and forever. And that is one of the reasons why I got the house, is because it was so inexpensive. Because everybody was like, oh my gosh, you must be rich to live here. I couldn't afford this house now, but at the time, it was a very good bargain, a really good bargain, because it had sat on the market forever and ever. And there were things wrong, like you could barely see the pool from the deck because there were trees in the way. They had let trees grow up over the pool. There were trees blocking this view right here. You could not see the bridge back there because it had trees in the way. So as my camera's falling over because it's really windy right now, I'm not gonna retake that. But yeah, it was a bargain because nobody saw the vision, and I saw the vision there. And I'm going to take you around the house a little bit and show you some. So obviously, the view is pretty stunning here. That is, and there's the Vita. That is the best thing about this house, is the view. I had never owned a pool before, and granted it's all shut up for winter right now, but I was really thankful to have a pool. And the other nice thing is my neighbors are not right next door. Like in the summer, you really can't see that neighbor there. And you really can't see that neighbor way over there either. They're all covered up by the leaves and the trees. And you can see the caboose down here beyond my Chilean wine palm. There's the caboose. And the koi pond definitely wasn't here. That was an installment by me within the first or second year that I moved here. I had always had houses that were older. This is more of a mid-century house that has been added onto and added onto and added onto. But the nice thing is there's nice big windows that let lots of light in. So I have lots of plants. And that's very, very helpful. And lots of fun things like this spiral staircase going up to this little balcony. And as you can see, even the front yard is on a hill. Everything is on a hill. So I'm constantly getting a workout at this house because I'm in constant moving up and down the hill, up and down the hill, up and down the hill. But the views are just really insane. Sorry, I'm squinting in the sun. I'm just happy there is sun out right now. Question, how did you get into tropicals? Well, I think I'd always really liked tropicals. My parents used to have a house in South Carolina on the beach on a little island called Kiowa Island, and there were lots of sable palmettos there, and I was really in love with them then. But I think it really came out when I bought a house up here in Pennsylvania, and it had no garden at all, and I did not have a lot of gardening experience, and it needed something, and I was determined to have a garden. And what I discovered right away is that here in the Northeast, deer eat everything. So deer, you can come out in your yard and there'll be 25 deer in your yard. That's not unusual at all. They're just everywhere. And before I put a deer fence up, I discovered that deer don't usually eat tropical plants. And it started with me getting a couple of bananas and they didn't eat those, and then I discovered they didn't really like gingers, and then it just turned into an obsession since then. And that's really how I got started. And in this house here, one of the first things I did when I moved here was put in a deer fence, because I just knew it was just impossible because there were so many deer. Even when I was looking at the house trying to buy it, I knew right away I had to put a deer fence in. That said, they're not going to eat the tropicals, but I have a lot of perennials too, and that's something I don't always talk about. So there's another question answered. Do you have perennials? Yes, I have normal perennials. I have lots of normal perennials. I keep trying to make them grow on the hill going down to the pool. They do not love the hill. Some of the things do. The hydrangeas do really well there. The grasses do really well there. Echinacea, everything else like that, it starts off on the hill and then ends up down by the pool. It just, like, the seeds migrate, they all go down there and then they die here. I had lavender on the hill. That was not happy on the hill. So I love perennials. My space here, the flat space, I tend to put the tropicals, and the hill where I really would love the perennials to be, I'm really only good with grasses and things like that, and some plume poppies and hydrangeas. Everything else does not seem to like the hill. So if you have a suggestion for the hill, let me know. Rhododendrons don't seem to love it. It's a hard space, and it's hard to garden and dig around, because even though that hill going to the pool does not look like it's that big, steep, it's pretty steep, and I have actually fallen down it many times while shoveling or putting a plant in. It happens. So how do you keep your running bamboo from taking over everything? That is something I'm really bad about. I should have, when I put my running bamboo in, I should have put barriers in the ground. I should have done that, and I still should do that. I read online that you could kind of keep it at bay by digging trenches around it and doing that, and I really haven't done that as well. I've kind of kept it in check, but it is always trying to take over, always. And in hindsight, I was really trying to create some privacy here, and you can see that this was just a couple of plants behind me, and it is a bamboo forest now. And I love bamboo. I really, really do, and I love that it's green all year long. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I hate it, but I should have done things in a much smarter way. In fact, I think I said on one of my other videos, down by the pool, I actually want to take the bamboo out down there because I want to allow myself some more space for palm trees and things like that. And now that I've got some nice established bamboo forest, that I think I really want to do that. And everyone has said that is going to be the hardest project ever to get rid of that bamboo. So that's something you need to think about. Like, yeah, bamboo is beautiful, and I love that I can grow it here, but it will take over. It's very aggressive. And the funny thing is, I gave some of this bamboo to my dad in Atlanta, and he put it in his backyard, and it is not growing at all. He's had it, I think, 3 years now, which is on the third year is when it's supposed to really take off, and it has not taken off there at all. And I've seen bamboo in Atlanta, so I know it can exist, but for some reason it's not growing there. But here in New York climate, bamboo seems to love. And as you've seen on my property, I've got it everywhere, and I'm really happy. And There's a whole bamboo forest up the street from me that's not mine, but I love driving by it. It's just beautiful. And it's something I notice when I'm driving around. Oh, they have bamboo. It's just a beautiful plant. What plant do you really want, but you can't have or you can't make it work? Well, that is a really easy answer for me because I've tried. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I would love to have Gunnera manicata or Gunnera manicata, however you say it. I've tried. And to that fact, I don't even know if I've ever had the true species. There's several different species. Here in the Northeast, it's basically impossible to find. I know UK has it all over the place. I know Europe has it. And there's a garden across the river in Cold Spring, New York that has it, and they majorly protect it. But I can't seem to find the right balance here. I've made it get through the winter, but they love water, but then it's so cold here in the winter, I don't necessarily want to have them in the water. I just struggle. And I know some gardeners in New Jersey have it. I think I need an established plant. I keep getting these little baby ones when I buy them online, and they're not big and established, and I think that's part of the problem. If I could secure a big one, I think maybe I would have a chance. I would love for anyone to chime in. I desperately want, it kills me that I can't have this. It's one of those that I covet, and whenever I see it in any of your gardens that I watch, I'm always like, oh my gosh, look at that, look how it's growing. And everybody now in the spring is showing the sprouts coming up out of them, and I'm watching them going, oh, I would just kill to have this plant. But yeah, and I have my koi pond, so it seems like it'd be a perfect place, but it gets so icy and cold, I don't know. I have failed miserably, really miserably on this, and it's one of those sad things that I would love to have one, but I just can't. But one day I will, one day. And then of course, the infamous sable palmetto. I've got baby ones. I really want a big one. I can't find them up here. It's just impossible. And I failed on my one attempt, but I got a hurricane cut and not a regenerated cut, which is what I really wanted and needed, and everyone said I needed. And then I stupidly said, okay, I'll take the hurricane cut, knowing that it would not survive, and it didn't, of course. Okay, 2 questions here. First one, why do you live in New York when you love tropicals so much? Well, I love New York. I think it's a great state. I love where I live, obviously. It's a great property. I have lots of friends here. My job is here. And if you don't know what my job is, I coach figure skating. So a lot of people ask me that too. And that is one of the reasons for this next question, which is really funny. I am bundled up in so many layers every day at the rink. I wear at least 3 jackets, a coat, long underwear. I'm always cold at the rink, yelling at kids. I don't really yell, but I coach. And I'm cold all the time. So when summer hits here or spring, I don't like wearing all those layers. And I had one person, or more than one person, ask me, they're like, why do you never have a shirt on in these videos? And it's just because if you wore that many layers all day long at the rink, you wouldn't want to wear a shirt as well. And all my friends know when it's summer and nice out, I am out here without a shirt on because I'm wearing shorts and I'm enjoying the yard. And that is why. And sometimes if I want to video something, the last thing I want to do is go and run up and get a shirt. So another great question that I've been asked several times in the last couple of weeks is, okay, it's March and I've seen you uncovering some of your palm trees. What happens if it gets cold? Well, yeah, I've got a plan there because the Trachycarpus are fine. The lowest it's going to go is maybe down into the mid-20s Fahrenheit between now and the middle of May, so I don't worry about the Trachycarpus there. But I do have my Canary Island date palm uncovered, I've got my Chinese fan palm uncovered, and I've got some of my Mediterranean fan palms uncovered. So what am I going to do about that? And what about the other palms that I have the front of the structure open? So that's pretty easy. So everything that's open in front, like my Robellini behind me, I just have to put the cover back on. The lights are still on it. That's really, really easy. Most of my palms that are more tropical in nature are all open like that, and I can just close them up. And in fact, Saturday night, it's going down to 27 Fahrenheit here. So I'm probably gonna be closing these up, even though I think they'd actually be okay with just the lights. But for everything else, this is a good reason why I have not put everything away yet, is because I might need to utilize it. So I've got all of this frost cloth that I took off already off the Trachycarpus and things like that. I can wrap this around my Canary Island date. I can wrap this around my Chinese fan palm. I have the Christmas lights still out there ready to go. So right now they're getting lots of light coming in, and it's gonna rain tonight. That's great, they get watered, everything else. But for this one-offs, these like one night or two coming up that are really low, I can cover them back up so I don't have any damage. They're happy, I'm happy, and I can uncover the next day. It's not really a big deal. And I'm gonna say that's about it for the questions today. There are so many more that I could answer, and this thing would go on forever and ever and ever. So I hope you liked it. If you did, please put in the comments that I should do this again, answer more questions. I tried to hit a lot of things. I left a lot of things out. I could definitely spend more time on the tropicals, which I realized I didn't quite go through, but you saw them briefly when I showed them in the garage. But I can do that on the next one. I hope everybody has a great week. It's been really busy here it's like we had winter and then a really nice glimpse of summer, and now we're going back into semi-winter for the weekend. It's kind of cold outside right now. So it's just back and forth here in New York, but hopefully the weather pattern will really start to get warmer and I can spend more time outside. And I hope all of you, I think the same thing's happening in Europe. It was really, really warm. Then you guys got some snow and everything. I was looking at palm trees and snow, and it's pretty, but it's not fun. But I hope all of us hit spring very, very soon, and good luck this week.